My name is Haley Grooms, and this is my capstone project for vett215. Here is my ID, and then you can see my OCCI certificate there. Task number 1 is a lateral view of the radius and ulna. So we have our patient here who is sedated. He is in left lateral recumbency. So I have some towels to support his thorax and in between his rear legs. And then you can see here I have his front leg tied in position where I can get a view of the radius and ulna. So a few things, my PPE, I have my gown, my dosimeter, my thyroid shield, and then I have gloves if I need them, but I have him restrained and sedated, so I'm going to step out of the room to shoot the radiographs. So like I said, we're shooting a left lateral view. So I have his head is, since he's sedated, he's kind of positioned naturally. His other leg, his right limb is extended back and tied so it's out of the way, quadridorsally and secured. So I'm going to measure, if I can find my caliper, here it is. So I'm going to measure the thickest part of his anatomy. That is a 5, and we have our guide up here. So a 5 is a KVP of 59, so I'm going to go ahead and set my machine. At 59, and then the MAS is 5, so I'll go ahead and set that. Just want to make sure I have this position and collimated where the central beam is in the middle of the mid-shaft of the radius and ulna, and then I'll also get the elbow joint and the carpus as well. So just want to palpate and make sure I'm in those areas. My thumb is in my tray, and I'll go ahead and press my marker. I'll put my marker here, my left marker, and then I can step out and shoot the x-ray. And that is a view of the left lateral radius. My name is Haley Grooms, and this is task number 2, a lateral view of the right stifle. So I know it's kind of hard to see here, I'm in kind of a small proximity, but we have our patient here in position. She's under anesthesia. It's kind of difficult to see, but she is in right lateral recumbency. I've got her head in just kind of a natural position, but if I needed to, I could use a sandbag or some tape to help position her. Her forelimbs are tied and pulled cranially. I'll move this in a second so you can kind of see, but they're pulled, tied and pulled cranially and secured. And then her hind limb, her left hind limb, the one that we are not viewing, is kind of tied back out of place. It's just kind of flexed, and then the right limb that we are viewing is kind of in a natural position, and I've got it taped just to hold it in place. So I just slide this so you can kind of see her head in the natural position, and then her forelimbs are secured. So I have my PPE on, which is my lead, my thyroid shield, my dosimeter, and then my gloves if I need them, but since I'm going to be situated in position, I'm going to shoot it, or step out of the room and shoot it. I won't be needing these. Set those down. So I'm going to measure at the distal end of her finger. So I'm just going to palpate her staples. Her finger is right here. So I'm going to use my technique chart, and that's 6 to 61. So I'm going to adjust that. KBP to 61. And then my MAS up to 5. So my central ray, I want on the indention of her stifle. So it's going to palpate and I can pull it right there. This leg just needs to be out of the way enough. I don't want to cause any harm or anything, but I just want it out of the way. So I got my central right there, and then colonnade, I want 1/3 the distal end, 1/3 of her femur, and then the proximal 1/3 of the tibia. So just shut my light off. Adjust my collimation. And I'm just going to step out of the room for just 1 second to shoot it. I'm going to kind of turn my camera a little bit so you can see that I'm stepping out. I almost forgot to put my marker, so here's my right marker. Sit right here. And I got my film tray in. Just step out. To shoot a lateral view of the right side. My name is Haley Grooms, and this is task number 3, which is a VD view of the thorax. So I have all my PPE on. I have my apron, my thyroid shield, my dosimeter, and then I have my gloves if I need them, but we have this patient heavily sedated. So I won't be using these today because I won't actually be holding on to the patient. So we have our patient in dorsal recumbency in a trough. So it's kind of hard to see with my anesthetic machine and all. But dorsal recumbency, her head is pulled forward slightly and pretty much in a natural position, but pulled back a little bit. But being careful not to restrict her breathing. Her forelimbs are tight and extended cranially. Again, just always being careful when we're tying them and everything not to cause any harm. So her hind limbs are just relaxed in a natural position. You can use a sandbag if you need to, but I don't have to for her because she's just kind of in a natural position, if you can see her there. So since I have her in the trough, I'm going to go ahead and take my measurements and get everything ready for our x-rays. So I have my marker here that I'm going to use. So I'm going to measure on the caudal border of the scapula. I'm going to measure with the trough because it does add a little bit. So I'm just going to palpate the scapula. So I'm going to look over on my technique chart. And so 94, mass of 2.5, and a KBP of 94. So just going to adjust to 94. And then I'll put that on 2.5 as well. So now I'm going to lights for a second, and I want my central beam to be at the midline in between the 5th and 6th rib. So I just want to palpate. And then my borders are going to be the thoracic inlet and then the first lumbar vertebrae. So really difficult position. I'm going to step over and shoot the x-ray, but I do want to watch. Again, so sorry, it's really difficult to see. I have a little window, so I'm going to step out to watch and shoot the x-ray. And I'm going to shoot this x-ray at her peak inspiration. So I'm going to step out real quick and shoot it. She's kind of taking shallow little breaths, and that's a little difficult to do. If I were going to be in the room, I could inflate her bag to give a better quality x-ray with her at peak inspiration. But that is time to shoot a VD of the thorax. Task number 4 is a right lateral view of the abdomen. So you can see I have my patient here sedated. So I have him in right lateral recumbency. So we just got his head in a natural position. I have wedges in between his femurs, under his sternum, and in between his forelimbs, just to help keep everything on the same plane. So I have his front legs secured and just pulled cranially, and then his hind limbs are also secured and pulled caudally. So got him in position. I'm going to use my caliper to measure him. As far as PPE goes, I have my thyroid shield, my lead apron, my dosimeter, and gloves if I need them, but I'm not going to be using them since I'm going to step out to shoot the x-ray and will actually be holding the patient. So I've got my marker here, my right marker. So I'll go ahead, got him in position, so now I can go ahead and get him set up on the x-ray machine. So got my caliper here, and I'm just going to measure the caudal aspect of the 13th rib. So I'm just going to palpate, and I'm going to measure at the thickest part. That is 10, so going to look over here at my technique chart. I'm going to change my machine, so it's going to be a KVP of 69 and the abdomen mass of 2.5. So now I got my machine set, and I can go ahead and get him palmated. So I'm going to turn my light off. So I want my central array for canine to be at the caudal aspect of the 13th rib between the lumbar vertebrae and L2 and L3. So my border is going to be the greater trochanter, and then need to include the coxofemoral joint. So I'm going to palpate here, and then the other border would be the caudal aspect of the thoracic vertebrae 1, or 7, I'm sorry, at the diaphragm. So palpate it over to I'm just going to go ahead and step out where I can keep an eye on the patient, but go ahead and shoot my x-ray. Alrighty, and that is how to shoot a right lateral view of the abdomen. My name is Halie Grooms, and task number 5 is a VD view of the thoracic spine. So as usual, I have my PPE on, which is my thyroid shield, my lead apron, my dosimeter, and then my gloves if I need them, but patient is heavily sedated, so I won't be using this, and I'll be stepping out of the room for the x-rays. So I'll leave those there. So I have our patient in dorsal recumbency. Hind limbs are in a natural position. The head is parallel to the table, and I have the forelimbs extended cranially and secured, making sure that the patient's breathing or anything isn't restricted. So he's in a comfortable position. Got him in a trough just to keep him really straight and everything for this x-ray. So I'm going to go ahead and get him measured and get the machine set so I can shoot the x-ray. So I'm going to measure over T6 and T7, which is the caudal border of the scapula. So I'm just going to palpate. And I'm going to measure with the trough. Okay, so I'm going to set my caliper down and look at my technique charts. 15, 69. So I'll go ahead and set my machine. And so my KVP is 78, and then my MAS is 2.5 per square. And go ahead and get my marker out and get everything all lined up here. So I want my central ray to be over T6 and T7. My borders are going to be the cervical 7 and the first lumbar. So I just want to palpate. Collimated. This cat is a little chubby. There's a shoulder joint. Alrighty. So I just collimated it a smidge more. So you're in my marker position. Perfect. Okay, so got everything set up, and I'm just going to just a smidge more to make sure it's nice and centered. Okay, now I'm just going to step out and shoot my x-ray. Is how to shoot a VD thoracic scope. My name is Haley Grooms, and task number 6 is the VD of the pelvis. So first of all, I have all my PPE on, my lead apron, my dosimeter, thyroid shield, and then I have gloves here if I need them. But as you can see, my patient is heavily sedated, so I'm going to just step out to use the x-rays. Or to shoot the x-rays, so I don't actually need my gloves. I'm just going to drop those down out of the way. So my patient is in dorsal recumbency. If you want, you can use a trough to help kind of control the upper half, the cranial half of the body. But she's so little, I kind of just wanted to, gently secure her without using the trough. So I have her forelimbs extended and pulled cranially. Her head is in a natural position. And for over her, like her midline, I piece of tape, it's just very gently. It's not constricting her breathing or anything. So I don't want to do anything to do that or to harm them. But it's just barely gently kind of pulling because her body wanted to fall over a little bit. So as far as her hind limbs, grabbed her back legs, rotated her femurs inward towards each other, and then extended them caudally, and then placed a piece of tape right below the patella, and then secured her limbs and just kind of gently pulled them caudally, and then have a little wedge in between. That way her little feet don't try to cross over, and that would obscure the view. So this pad is also kind of holding up underneath her tarsus as well, so it's causing, wedging and support. So going to go ahead and get everything ready now, and hopefully you can see what I'm doing. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so I've got my marker here, my right marker, so we'll place that in just a second. I'm going to go ahead and measure over the thickest portion of the pelvis. It's a measurement of 7. So I'm going to look at my little technique chart here. Her KVP is going to be at 63. And MAS at 5. Okay, so my central ray, I want it at the caudal, like the midline of the caudal portion of the ilium. So I'm going to have to palpate her, and I'm going to have to readjust her feet a little bit as well after I palpate her. But my borders, as far as collimation goes, the crest of the ilium to the distal patella. So I'm going to palpate here. I'm just still patella. So got there. She's kind of a little chunky thing. But there is my crest of the ilium. So I just want to make sure everything's centered. And I'm going to go slide my little marker. Include my marker. Make sure everything is nice and set up. Okay, so now I'm just going to step out, shoot my X-ray, and then step right back in. And that is how to shoot a VD of the pelvis. My name is Haley Grooms, and task number 7 is performing a dental radiograph. So I have my patient in lateral recumbency, and I'm going to be taking a picture of the mandibular molars, and then we'll also get a little bit of the premolars. If I was going to get the entire premolars, I'm going to have to scooch forward and use the other film and take it. So we have our patient here. I have the film in his mouth and teeth here, and I'm going to place my tube parallel. The cone is going to be centered and perpendicular. And I have all my PPE on, my lead apron, my dosimeter, my thyroid shield, and then we have gloves here if we need them. I'm actually going to step out to shoot the X-ray, so we got everything ready and it's parallel. So I'm going to step out and shoot the x-ray. And that is how to shoot a parallel view of the mandibular molars. My name is Haley Grooms, and task number 7 is a dental radiograph. So I have my patient in sternal recumbency, and I have the film placed inside the patient's mouth already, and it is parallel. So we're going to be taking a view of the maxillary premolar number 208. So we have the large film in since it's a large job, and so in order to get all the premolars, I would have to do multiple films. So I have my tube, and it's going to be placed at a 45-degree angle. To go ahead and step out, take the x-ray. I have my PPE on, my apron, my dosimeter, my thyroid shield, and then I have my gloves here as well if I needed them. But I'm going to go ahead and step out and shoot the x-ray.
It's done.
My name is Haley Grooms, and task number 8 is the GI contrast study alternative with a stuffed animal. So I have a little stuffed dog here. So before I really get started, I was just going to kind of go over some things in the packet. So I'll be shooting 3 views. A scout view, which is done prior to the contrast media, the barium administration. So that'll be a lateral view. And then after I get the barium, I will be shooting a right lateral view, and then also a VD that would be post-barium, which would begin the study. So as far as patient preparation, the patient should be fasted at least 12 hours prior to performing a contrast media study. And then basically after you shoot the scout view, from then you can determine if the patient is going to need an enema or not. If so, that will be needed to be performed 2 to 4 hours prior to administering the barium and starting the study to minimize gas. So the indications for performing a barium study, if there's concerns for like vomiting, diarrhea, if they're vomiting blood, anorexia, mass lesions, foreign bodies, any obstructions, if there's chronic weight loss, persistent abdominal pain, and basically if you're just having inconclusive survey radiographs, those would be indications to perform a contrast media study. So the contraindications that should not be performed is if there's like a fluid-filled distended esophagus or stomach, if the bowel is atonic, or if there's ileus due to torsion. We won't want to perform it. So, like I said, on the contrast study, we're going to be using barium. So it can the particles can separate on it. So whenever you're using it, you just want to shake it up really well prior to administering it to the patient. you also want to be careful when administering it not to get it on the patient's coat or on the table that will be on your film, because it lights up and it would cause artifact in your actual radiograph. So this is my stuffed dog. It's about 20 inches long. It's pretty good size. It's going to simulate a medium 25-pound dog. So I've slit a hole in the mouth and in the stomach, and I removed most of the stuffing in between the mouth and the stomach. That way I can insert a tube, and I probably should remove a little bit more from the mouth actually. Yeah, okay, so remove it. There you go. It's going to be kind of deflated, but that'll make it easier to pass that tube into my little dog. We named him Rusty. So Rusty is our 25-pound patient for today. So I'll insert the tube into his mouth, and then we'll put the little plastic bag in his stomach to simulate a stomach for me to administer the barium into. So I guess I'll just go over some of the stuff I have. First of all, I have all my PPE on. So I have my lead apron, my thyroid shield, and my dosimeter, sorry. And then I have my leg gloves as well. It's always a good idea to have some towels on hand when administering barium, because they're awake and they could move around and you could leak some out onto the table. So you just want to be able to clean it up if it accidentally gets on the coat, to clean it off really quickly, because you want to shoot an immediate x-ray post-administration. So I have a timer here to shoot an x-ray immediately after administration, and then 15, 30, and 60 minutes post. So just keep a timer so you can set it and know exactly when you need to be giving it. I use a 1/2-inch roll of tape as a mouth guide to put in the patient's mouth, and then insert my tube into. This is my little Ziploc stomach, and have a little rubber band at the top. So I'll just insert the tube into that, and that will serve as my stomach. And then I have my actual tube here, and it's an appropriate length for the patient. But what I'm going to do is mark it with a little piece of tape. I'll measure it and then mark it with a little piece of tape so I know when I'm into the stomach. And next I have a little packet of sterile lube that I'll use to lube into that tube. That way you don't cause any irritation or anything when inserting it into the patient. And I went ahead and had my barium pulled up. So like I said before, this is a 25-pound dog. So the dosage on the barium for a medium dog is 5 to 8 mils per kg. So when you do the math, that's about 56 mils for a 25-pound dog. So I went ahead and just rounded up to 60 since I did the 5 mil. So the lower dosage. So I went ahead and just rounded up because it's still in that safety window to give it. So just wanted to go ahead and have it prepared, ready to administer to the patient. And then I also have some sterile saline that I'm going to use once I place my tube. I want to administer a little bit of this first and also palpate my tube. And so I'll administer a little bit of this and then listen for a cough. If the patient were to cough, that would indicate that I went into the trachea and the lungs instead of into the esophagus and the stomach. So we want to make sure that we're in the correct spot before we administer a whole bunch of barium and it ends up in the lungs. And we have a whole other situation on our hands. So when I'm measuring my tube, I'm going to measure from the nose to the last rib on the patient. So I measure from here, and then the last rib would probably be about right here. So I'm just going to mark my tube with a piece of tape. What am I forgetting? Sorry. So I guess I'll just go through all this beforehand. That way I can just kind of shoot my x-rays immediately after, like I would in an actual live patient. So like I said, I'll do my right lateral scalp view. Then, you know, I would administer my barium and take an immediate lateral MBD. This is going to show barium in the stomach, and so then I would set my timer for 15 minutes and shoot another lateral BD, and that would, at that point, the barium would be in the stomach and the duodenum, and then I would set my timer for another 15 minutes, which would be 30 minutes post barium administration. And so that X-ray should show that the barium has moved, and I could see the stomach, the duodenum, and the jejunum, and then set it for another 30 minutes, which is going to be 1 hour post administration. So that would also show the stomach, the duodenum, and the jejunum. Depending on the nature of the study and how much you want to see, if it's just upper GI, or if you want to see upper and lower, you could take a 2 hour post-barium administration radiograph, which would show the stomach, incomplete, small intestine, and the cecum. And then you could also take a 4 hour post-barium administration, which would show the entire small and large intestine. So now I guess I'm just gonna get everything ready and go ahead and shoot my x-rays. I'm gonna go ahead and just I'm gonna go ahead and set my timer for the 15-minute mark. So I have that ready, and just keep my towels kind of near and dear. So I'm gonna go ahead and measure and set my machine as well. If there's for a live patient, I'd obviously have someone helping me hold and administer the barium and return the patient for the actual radiograph. So just go ahead and get everything ready to go. I'm gonna go ahead and measure to take my scalp view, which is going to be a right lateral. De-stuff this guy a little bit more, as he is being difficult to position. Okay. Sorry, I should have had all this out ahead of time. I thought I could administer it without, or with it in there. Okay. It's kind of difficult on a flimsy and stuffed. But I'm going to go ahead and set all my equipment aside, and I need to grab my right marker that I left in the back. So I have my right marker since I'm taking a right lateral scalp view. Okay, so I'm going to measure at the thickest part of the tail junction, so kind of where the liver would be in the abdomen. My center beam is going to be caudal to the 13th rib, and then my borders are going to be from about T7, the thoracic vertebrae, to the lumbar 6 vertebrae. So go ahead and measure. I should go ahead and put my big stomach in. measure. Say a measurement of 8. So that is a KVP of 65 and a mass of 2.5. So it's everything ready to go. And then I also want to put my marker. And I already have my film and label in place. So I'm just going to slide on my gloves. And then I want to extend the limbs. Make sure my gloves are not in the view. And then go ahead and shoot my radiograph. Okay, so that will be my scalp view. So now I'm just gonna get everything set up. Now I want to measure my tube. So I'll just go ahead and remove it, and I want to go ahead and measure from the nose to the last rib. So should be about to here. So I just want to take a little piece of tape. And mark my tube. So it'll be this end of the tape. Alrighty. And I also just want to measure, since we're going to have the machine prepped and ready. So it looks like it's 7. Alright. So now I'm just going to insert my mouth gag or my tape into my patient. And then just lube the end of my tube. And just gently advance it. Yeah, through the mouth into the esophagus, and then once I get to my tape, I want to stop. And then at this point, with a live patient, you would just administer a very small amount of saline or sterile saline and listen for a cough to make sure that you are truly in the stomach and not in the trachea and the lungs. But I'm going to just put my little tube in my bag into my stomach so I can administer my barium. Okay, so now my little tube is in my tube has been put into my stomach. So now I can put this back in there, make sure we're all positioned correctly. And then I can go ahead and administer my barium. just being really careful not to get it, spill it everywhere and get it on the dog's coat. So then I want to remove this. And then I want to kink my tube a little bit and just kind of swiftly remove it from the patient. So I'll have to detach it from my little bag first. So you want to have towels handy because it can get everywhere and then, like I said, cause artifact. But you want to, as soon as you give it to a lab patient, you want to immediately shoot your lateral x-ray. So I'm going to go ahead and get in position for that. So my machine is still set for my scalp. So now I'm just going to shoot my lateral. And then I just quickly want to switch out my cassettes so I can shoot my BD as well. And then adjust my machine as well, which it was just one setting down. So now I'll place my patient in a BD position. And so with a live patient, I would have someone holding the forelimbs and then holding the hind limbs, both with gloves. Make sure my borders are still where they need to be, and then shoot the radiograph.